this is Alan Rices from Eurosport. In the studio with me today, we have three upcoming athletes in their respective sport who will talk about the importance of presentation and the various other factors doing in the interview. Basically, interview about interviews in the different types of media. Welcome Michael Wingate, who is from English FA3 department, Sunny Rehal, who is a left midfielder from Romford and Ilford Field Hockey Club, and Matthew Hamilton from Romford Ice Hockey Club. So my first question will be from Mr. Michael. What is the importance of body language during TV interviews?
I think during a TV interview, things that are important is hand gestures, your body gesture, and I think one of the main importance is your appearance. I think your appearance, depending on whether it's a chat show, what sort of chat show. So if it's Jonathan Ross, you're going to be all suited up. But if it's Sky Sports News, you're going to be, let's say you're a marathon runner, you're going to be in a tracksuit to reflect your sport.
Alright, Sunny Rehal, do you agree with this?
Yeah, actually, I'd say body language tells a lot about a person. Let's say you can say a person is nervous just by looking at him, or excited, anxious, anything. So yeah, body language is quite important.
And Matthew, do you want to add anything on this?
Yeah, also, the way you look, people decide what they think of you for the way you act. So just by looking at you, you can tell how confident someone is, how nervous they are, just general things like that.
Alright, moving on to the second question, starting off with Mr. Michael again. How do you portray a speech in an interview?
Portray a speech, well, of course, there's all different factors you need to consider when talking in an interview. Especially when it comes to radio, you need to think about how clear your tone of voice is. Is it clear? How would the audience understand you? Yeah, stuff like that.
Sunny, how do you agree with this point?
Yeah, obviously, if you don't really speak up, you're not clear with your voice or your points, people won't really understand you. And yeah, voice clarity and all those factors are really important during an interview.
Very good. And Mr. Michael, Matthew, have you got anything to add on this?
Yeah, I think one important thing that neither of these two mentioned was the actual words you use.
Yeah.
For words you should use for more standard English, and make sure you speak grammatically correct rather than using any slang from where you come from.
Alright, on the third question, starting off with Mr. Michael again. How would an athlete interview differ between a newspaper and a chat show?
Well, I think there's the big difference is chat show, you're being watched, you're being filmed, so you need to think about your body gesture, how are you gonna look, your appearance is gonna be a major factor. But then if it's a newspaper, you just got to make sure you get the facts across, because you're not going to have to worry about how you look or anything. They just want your information on your answers. So it's all about, the difference is, it's all about how you look, but importantly, is you're getting the main information across.
Alright, and Sunny, how do you agree with this?
Yeah, quite much I do. During a TV interview, you really need to look up to your appearance, and chat, radios you said? Yeah?
Chat shows.
Yeah, that basically you just need to have voice clarity, need to speak up loudly, correct use of grammar, and things of that kind, basically.
Alright, and Mr. Matthew, have any notes for us?
Well, basically these two have both covered it, but it is the main thing, is just about your appearance and the way you do speak.
Alright, very well. And moving on to our fourth question, I'm going to start off in a different way. This time is going to start off with Sunny Rehal. Fourth question is going to be, how could you prepare yourself for an awkward question?
For an awkward question, well, that depends. If you're in, well, normally TV programs are pre-planned, as we all know it, and yeah, the athlete may have cue cards. You may use self-rehearsal, mental preparation, and techniques as such.
Alright, Mr. Matthew, do you agree with this?
Yeah, but as well, with some chat shows and stuff like that, you do get told what some questions are going to be before. And so you do get to prepare yourself, both mentally and by what you said before, by using cue cards. That is a good way, just like, it helps your brain prepare for it, so you don't really come up with any nervous symptoms.
Alright, Mr. Michael, what are your notes on this?
Well, before any interview, I try and figure out something safe. So in case an awkward question does appear, I try and refer, I come up to that safe thinking, try to reference back to where it is, to try and get out of it really, but usually they're all out, so I'll have time before to prepare what I'm going to do around that awkward question.
Alright, moving on to the next question. Starting off with Matthew. How important is time management for a single question during a press conference?
Well, they have to make sure they get enough questions in, and for the majority of the time they know how many questions are going to be asked. So they have to make sure they have enough time for all questions and to be able to have them all answered properly.
Alright, and Saneria, how do you agree with this?
Yeah, because if you don't really undertake time management skills, obviously the interview will not be successful because most of the questions will not be asked. Well, the interviewer will not really be satisfied with the information gathered, and obviously you wouldn't have enough to make up a full report, so time management is quite important.
Alright, thank you. And Mr. Michael, have anything to add to this?
Well, I think it's all dependent on the question. I think that if, let's say, a question is about a situation which happened in like a match that's gone by, I think the answer should be, you should take a small amount of time to answer it, be quick, get it over and done with. But if it's something big, like something that's happened in your career, something big, major, then you're going to obviously, or your future, if it's something in the future, you're going to obviously dedicate more time to that question.
Alright, thank you very much. Now moving on from media interviews, we're going to focus more on two significant hours between players and referees. Our first question is going to be for Matthew. How could the context of words change between two players plus a player with a referee?
Well, when players are talking to players, they use more swear words and slang. But when we speak to referees, they speak better grammatically, and they're more respectful to their peers.
Alright, Mr. Michael, as a referee yourself, what are your opinions for us?
Well, as a referee, what we expect all the time from players is we expect the players to give us respect when talking to us. But then at times you do get the odd comment which is not respectful, which it gets dealt with, but majority of the time it's all respectful, it's all like grammatically correct, it's all pretty good grammar. But coming about players to players, yeah, they'll talk about whatever, they can talk about the referee, what situation in the match, they'll talk to each other, how they understand each other.
Alright, I'm Mr. Saneria Hall. As a midfield player for hockey, have you got any notes for us?
Well, they basically covered it all, but yeah, players and players, it's informal. Players, referees, it's supposed to be formal, but it gets out of hand sometimes.
Moving on to the next question. Starting off with Mr. Michael. How would body language change between the two situations?
I think the most important thing is gestures, really. As a referee, your gesture needs to be clear. It needs to be clear, constructive. You need to be assertive of what you need to show, like you know what you're doing, you know what your decision is. Players to players, it's all more relaxed. That's it.
Do you agree with this, Saneria Hall?
Yeah, pretty much. And players and players, obviously, when you're talking to a fellow teammate or let's say opposition player as well, you will be relaxed, informal, like I said, because you'll be more open with them. And you can't really have the same kind of bond with referees because obviously I believe they have a higher power, and yeah, formal talks with them.
And lastly, Mr. Matthew, have you got anything to add on this?
Well, no, they basically covered it all, but the referees are, when players speak to them, they are a lot more assertive, and the referees have to be sure of what they're saying. They can't go back on what they're saying. But players are just so relaxed when they speak to each other.
Alright, and moving on to our last question, starting off with Mr. Sunny. How would the verbal communication differ between the two situations?
I'm sorry?
How would the verbal communication differ between the two situations?
Yeah, between two situations, right. Well, shit.
Do you want me to answer that? Well, let's give two situations for as an example. Let's say a referee gives a penalty in the box to a team. Now, both teams there'll be one team that's going to be happy, one team that's going to be not so happy. So the communication will be, the team that's just conceded a penalty, they're going to be angry at the ref, they're going to have, you're not going to have that respect, it's not going to be there, the communication will be quite rough, but if the players are the players, they'll be agreeing with each other. Like the referee to the player, there will be two different views on it. The referee think he's right, the players think he's wrong. So both people are going to think they're always right. But if it's players to players, they're going to always think, yeah, right, we both feel that referee's done a bad decision. So it's all going to be agreed.
Alright, and Matthew, do you agree with this?
Well, yeah, as well as the emotion of the players, when say, for his example, if a penalty was given, the emotions tend to get the better of them, for if they didn't agree with it, then they'd be on the referee's case and start every decision he makes, they could be going against it just for the pure fact that their emotions got the better of them.
Alright, and lastly, Sonia, do you have anything to add to this or nothing?
Well, I totally agree with both of them. We can have a situation whereby, Manchester United, Real Madrid, the red card incident with Nani, we could see how furious Manchester United were, and obviously the respect for the referee wasn't the same after that decision, and the whole game changed. So, yeah, sorry about that.
Alright, it was a wonderful interview. I would like to thank Michael Wingate, Matthew Hamilton and Sonia High for this lovely interview. Have a nice day.